everyone's like, when you're recording, find a plain white back. There's no plain white background, okay? It's the best I could do. It's gonna be good enough. Guys, I'm here to talk about thrifting. But before I can even get into that, I have to explain how I was destabilized today. I went to the park with my friend. Whoa, I can see this video in HD. I'm destabilized today because I went to the park with my friend and we were catching up on a bench. And we're just talking about like life and stuff. And then at some point, I mentioned LSE. And this lady is like, I have to interrupt you there. LSE is one of the best institutions in the world. And then she just goes on for 20 minutes about like conspiracy theories, the people that be, COVID being manufactured, economic cycles, how, it might be that the powers that be made it so at that time at LSE I couldn't have a good time. And I was just like, wow, the people really crave community. Like, this was not a normal thing to do on any level. It was not normal to interrupt the conversation, even though it was juicy. Like, yeah, sure, but we are strangers. Number two, it was not normal to interrupt the conversation for 20 minutes. At some point, I just had to say, yeah, we have to leave. Yeah, thank you so much for this, but we actually have to leave. So that's what's happened. But thrifting, is it an art? Is it a science? Let's just have a conversation and see where we land. I don't know if the glare in my glasses is going to be annoying for this, but honestly, like, I'm not in the mood to not wear them. So I guess we're all going to have to kind of deal. The irony that this is called the art of thrifting, but I actually think thrifting is more of a science more than anything. So pretty. It's more of a, which one did I say again? It's more of a science more than anything. So I was in Budapest recently with my friend, shout out to Luci, and we went shopping and we went thrifting. We had such a good time and I was on a high because we both found things that we liked. And I was like, thrifting is so whimsical. It is a little whimsy. Come on, when you think about it, it is a little whimsy. The fact that you go somewhere and you find something that you like, that is your size, that you want to buy, that you think you can style. Like, so many things have to come together for you to find that piece at that time. And I don't know, it's a little more romantic and whimsical than normal shopping. And I was on such a high, and I went back and I was like, yeah, I'm going to record a video when we get back to the hotel. Of course, we got back to the hotel. I go into my home clothes and I went to bed and I scrolled for an hour. So the video is being made now. Background. I'm not like some thrifter pro max. However, evaluating my wardrobe, all my favorite, like, that's cap. Not all, but I'd say 70 to 80% of my favorite clothes have been thrifted. Like my Carolina Herrera gold corset that I got in New York, fave. The matching base skirt, fave. My capri pants, Paris thrifted, fave. Some of my Burberry jacket, thrifted, fave. Some other staples that like my friends would, if I challenged them to say 10 items in my wardrobe, the things that they'd be immediately like, oh, this top that you wear is most likely thrifted. And so, yeah, I just thought I'd talk about it because it's an experience that I really like. And when it's good, it's like so good. I didn't originally like the idea of thrifting for a really long time. I don't know if that's cultural, being Nigerian and stuff, because like secondhand's a bit, or I don't know if that's a sign of the culture at large, because I'd say in the last decade, the whole idea of secondhand, rewear, resale, etc., has become a lot more popular, whereas before it kind of was like for the niche cool girls who like to do stuff like that. But the more I became into fashion, the more I became into thrifting, and just realizing like all the people whose style I admired would thrift things, and they thrift the cooler things. And also like watching Sex and the City and Carrie being someone who liked to thrift and find like secondhand stuff and find cool finds. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And then I went to New York, I think in 2019. Did Paris come first or did New York come first? I wore the gold corset on a holiday, I think. Yeah, I wore the gold corset on a holiday in 2019. So I must have gotten it probably in 2019. So let's just say in summer of 2019, I went to New York and I found this store well, I went shopping around the Upper East Side area because the whole thing apparently with thrifting, where my origin started from was thinking, okay, if I go to the more expensive areas, the shops will have this type of stuff that I'm looking for, so let me start there. And then I found this store, Designer Revival, and I kid you not, I found so many great things on my first rodeo. So from that alone, like my opinion was just changed instantly. I was like, okay, this thing can click, and it was really good. And then I became just interested in it, but only when I traveled. At the time, I lived in London, and there was nothing whimsy about thrifting where you lived. Like, there was nothing whimsy about it. I also didn't know any good places to thrift in London, apart from like Serotonin, which is where I got my Burberry coat from. Um, but yeah, it was just something I had no interest in doing in London. I was like, this is my everyday life. And also the things that when I'm going shopping in London is because I need something. So it's not like there's no whimsiness. So I was not doing that in London, but I'd go every time I was in New York, and I'd go every time I went to Paris, and I had like my list. I'd make one initial trip to find the stores that I like to go to, and then every time I visited those places, I would still go to them. And now that I live in Paris, ironically, I barely go thrifting. So in Paris, so I guess it's like again, if I prefer the thrill of finding the new in places that I don't live. It's just a lot more exciting, and the experience is a lot better. So, what is the science of thrifting? When I think about like when it works, why does it work? So, number one, I think you have to be going to the right type of stores, and this is in two parts. There's like the thrift stores that are almost just like junk that has been put together, no curation, no vibes, almost like a charity store, but not a charity store. Like charity stores would fall under that, general thrift stores would fall under that, like just no curation. Then there is usually what is like a consignment store or a secondhand store that is tastefully curated. Those are the ones that I prefer because I'm going there to find like cool fashion pieces that I cannot find on the um, high street or on the internet, or just pieces like styles that are not in vogue anymore, or silhouettes, or no. So those are the two how I think about it, and I'm more likely to go to the ones that are actually curated. There's also like thrift stores that run by, what are they called? Are they called kilo stores, where you thrift everything that you want and then you weigh it and then you pay at the end? I categorize that in the not curated section, whereas realistically, a lot of them probably are curated. That's two very big buckets, but you get the idea of what I mean. So know which type of stores that you like to go to, and then go to that. Sometimes you can also mix it up. Like in Paris, I had like a charity store that I really liked, mainly because it was near one of the consignment stores that I liked. Two, if you want a specific item of clothing and you're thrifting, I do have to challenge your cognitive reasoning skills, because there's actually shops for that and the internet. Like if you want cobalt blue jeans and you're like, oh, I'm hoping to find it in a thrift store, like, Pookie, don't do that. You go thrifting not knowing what you're going to find. You're just hopeful. You can have like a general category, like I want nice tops, or I want nice skirts, or I want nice jacket. But if you know you want a yellow trench coat that is A-line and 3/4 length, and you're trying to find that thrifting, you will thrift from now till the day you die. Like, there's no need for that. Just Google it and buy it on the internet. Be open to the idea of receiving. That's philosophical, but yeah, be open to the idea of receiving. And what else? So yeah, I wouldn't thrift certain things. Like I wouldn't thrift basics, and I wouldn't thrift if I knew I wanted very specific items. However, I do think there are some exceptions to this rule. Burberry coats. Almost every single thrift store in the entire world will have a stock of Burberry coats, or at least consignment stores usually will have a stock of Burberry coats. Very popular find. Leather jackets, furs. I actually don't believe you should be buying fur firsthand. Ethically, and also like the vintage ones are just so much nicer, so much better. Just buy if you're looking for a fur coat, thrifting is absolutely the way. So I'd say if you want one of those three things, yeah, you should be thrifting. You're gonna find them. List incomplete. 4 is Levi jeans, or like vintage jeans. These are the 4 things that you can say, okay, specifically I want to thrift them, and you'll find them because they're not that niche. There's other things like a certain type of top, a certain type of camisole that you'll find in like certain thrift stores, but I'm not, this video has to end, you know what I mean? Like, there's obviously a lot of nuance. This is just a general recap. So yeah, I'd say Levi jeans, Burberry coats, leather jackets, and fur coats are four things that for sure, if you want to get them, you should actually just thrift them, and you can be like, oh, I want to find it, and you will find it. It's pretty common. Three is know what type of stuff you like to buy. So I don't believe in buying secondhand shoes. So when I go thrifting, I don't really look at the shoe section. I'm like, I find it so weird. I don't want to share shoes with someone who I don't know. Not my interest. I'm only looking at the clothes pretty much, because jewelry, in my family, we tend to not like costume jewelry anyways. And bags, I'm not opposed to thrifting bags, but again, my mom and my grandma are such big bag people that if I want a vintage bag, I just beg. I beg and I borrow. Usually the answer is no, but recently I've had some more luck with the borrowing. So I beg and I borrow and I hope for the best. And that is my strategy with bags. So that just leaves us with clothes. And I've had a lot of luck with clothes. And then what else? That is three. I think you also have to go, four would be, you have to go in the right mindset. There's some times where I'm like, I recognize that this is a good store, but like, I'm not going to find anything because I'm not willing to look through every single rack. And you really do have to be willing to look through every single rack. That is how you find the gems. Like, you don't find the gems being fast about it unless you're incredibly lucky. And that probably happens like one time. You need to be sifting through those racks. It's a little tiring. And also advice for the general day. When you go thrifting, make sure you wear something that's actually like conducive to look good with other things. So don't go and wear like, and this is what I did last time I went thrifting. I wore running shoes. So obviously everything looked but ugly with the running shoes, because that's not how I'd style anything that I was usually going to wear. But we were going on a walking tour, so I had to be practical. And just wear like neutral black trousers and a nice top, so that if you need to try on tops, the trousers that you're trying them on are not like poochy green and white trousers that are distracting and like would not give you a fair assessment of how the new item would look. I've stopped saying, does that make sense? Now I'm just going to say, that makes sense. That does make sense. So yeah, make sure you just wear items that are good for trying on other items. Black trousers, nice top that will go, so that if you're trying on different trousers, the top is nice. If you're trying on different tops, trousers is nice. And shoes that are, conducive to all of this. I'd say the last thing, Five Alive, is know the difference between like your taste and your style. And I think taste is generally your ability to know a good thing, your ability to recognize that this is a nice top, this is a nice trouser, this is a nice skirt. Whereas shopping for your style is knowing that it'll fit into the ecosystem of your wardrobe. So there's items you'll find when you're thrifting where you're like, oh my gosh, this is such a nice find, it's the right price, you're so chuffed. But then realistically, you're never going to wear that thing because it's not in your style. Especially if it's on sale, do not be swayed to buy the nice niche item just because it's a good find. Like, actually try and find things that are going to be useful for your wardrobe, that are going to be repeat wears, that are going to be wardrobe staples. So if you find something because you have good taste, that's wonderful. Suggest it to a friend, maybe buy it for a friend. You can even buy it for a resale. That's a very risky strategy, but you can, actually, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Scrap from the records. Be shopping for your style. Be shopping for your wardrobe. Be shopping for the ecosystem. Be shopping for something that you will actually wear. And I know because I've fallen victim to this. Not even the taste versus style thing, which I've just made up, and it makes sense, but shopping for being victim of a sale. I'm such a sale whore. Like, oh my God, if I find a nicely priced item and I know it's a good item, I'm buying it. Or in my past life, I would buy it. Now there's no option for that. But don't fall victim to that. You just end up with things that you actually probably can't even return and just sitting there, not being worn, not that great. So yeah, those are practical general things. And then we can do a little exercise of what I found when I last went thrifting. Let's see. And why I think it would be useful to know like why I said yes to things, why I said no to things, and give you a little bit of insight into my noggin. Okay, so I have my phone and I can find the pieces. Oh, my birthday pictures. Okay, so this skirt, I liked it because I like a piece that has like interesting details. So it was a plain skirt, but the lace pleats, the lace in between the pleats, I thought was super cute and super interesting. And I actually got it. And what helps, especially when I'm thrifting, is when I find an item. I actually did buy the lace skirt. Well, not the lace skirt, but the skirt with the lace details. Is when I can find an outfit, when I can formulate an outfit with it in the thrift store. If I can do that, chef's kisses. I'm buying it. So I saw this scarf and I was like, oh my gosh, perfect. Going to Marbella this summer. Boom. Scarf as top. Shout out to Maresque. With this skirt. It's a cute outfit. I see it. Maybe a matching scarf on the head top. A nice sling heel bag. The way I was able to so easily formulate the outfit, let me know she'll do well in my wardrobe. So with me, the pieces that I have been drawn to when I think about it, when I have thrifted, have been stuff that's like not your regular find. And I just try and keep that in mind when I'm thrifting. Again, see, I look at these shoes. I'm sure this outfit might have looked nicer if I had more suitable shoes, but I didn't buy this skirt because I just thought this is not my style. It might look nice on somebody else, but this is not my style. Then this dress, I'm convinced that this man was looking at the label and not on my posterior, but let's continue. This dress, so plain, body tee, but does nothing for me. I was like, this is a nice dress, but again, not for me. Again, the shoe's not helping it out here, but you get the sentiment. You just have to know, like, there's nothing interesting about this dress. There's nothing cool. There's nothing particular. There's no detail that stands out. Silhouette, not particularly interesting. I'm not drawn to this. I own nothing like this, which suggests that it might survive in my wardrobe or do well as a piece that I own. So, got rid instantly. It was an easy no. I had such strong vision for this top, but it was too big, and also I hate polyester. I hated the feeling of the fabric on my skin. I just thought it was so gross. But what I wanted to do was cut it so it was not like this, but it was more of a thin strap, well, kind of like this, but you know, with the same neckline as the top. And I just think animal print is so in right now. I don't know what animal this is, cheetah, jaguar, that family, whatever, but so hot, so in. I had a really strong vision, which is rare for me. Usually, this is only because I only had this vision because I was with my friend who has this gift. She's like, yeah, I can just take it in Lagos. I can just, you know. It needs to be pret-a-porter, ready to wear, ready to go home, be washed and be worn. I don't have the vision to be like, oh, if I just dye it black, if I add a pin here, it just needs a belt. It just needs a ruffle. I just need to add a brooch. No. If I don't like how it looks as it is, I'm usually not buying. But this one I had really strong vision for, so I was happy. And then, you know, this is a picture of me holding the two items that I ended up getting, so I'd remember to include it in the video. Oh, and this is us in bed when I should have been recording. Tee-hee. So yeah, that's a little bit about it. I think what else is there? You just know, the more you thrift, the better you get at it. The more you know the vibe of like what type of stores you should even be going for or not going for. There's a certain way that a thrift store will smell that as soon as I enter, I just know, yeah, I'm not finding anything here. That's the truth. And some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You enter and it just has that stale, this is for the boomers. This is for the boomers. Or there's a certain way that things will just be so cluttered in the store that you're just not even incentivized to look around. And again, you will know. Or there'll be certain pieces that they have or certain sections that they have that you're like, you will know. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts. It's always an ongoing conversation. I do have recommendations for thrift stores in London, Paris, and New York, mainly. and this one random place that I went to in Budapest, which also has a branch in Milan. So I can give that. However, I want to have a format that I can update because, for example, my favorite, or what used to be my favorite thrift store in New York, I can no longer recommend it because since COVID, it just hasn't been the same. It used to be so good. I used to always find things there. And I think it's been the last 3 times I've been to New York, so the last 3 years, giving crickets. There's nothing there anymore. The prices are so high because it's like a consignment store like type of thing rather than a place where it's just it's more like consignment, more secondhand designer than secondhand general clothing that are cool and fashionable, if we want to split consignment into two. So I have to free them, which was really sad. Apparently all the cool places in New York are now in Brooklyn, so if you have any suggestions on that, please let me know so that when next I'm there I can check them out. But I do want to create a list because that's something that, especially in Paris, people are always asking me for. And I was going to use Instagram guides, but come to find out, Instagram has deactivated that feature as of 2023, when I last thought about creating content 2 years ago. So is notes a good thing to do? Noted? Is that Notion? Is Notion a good way to go about this? I just want something that, for all the recommendations that I have in life, and I have wonderful and excellent taste, I can just have it in a central location and I can update it as I go along. That is the most important thing, because some things can be in and then next day they're out. And if you're not good and excellent anymore, bada bing, bada boom, you're out. You feel me? So yeah, I hope you guys are encouraged to go thrifting more. It is a wonderful experience, especially when you find something that like bangs. The thrill of it all, and also some of the prices you find, like, wonderful. The worst part though is when you go into a thrift store that is super super like high end. You know the ones I'm talking about, the ones that are super super high end, where you can recognize that like these pieces are great prices for what they are, but fundamentally are still so unaffordable. Like this one of a kind Mugle 1996 runway piece, and they're like, yeah, and it's only 2,200 euros, pounds, dollars, and you're like, I'm sure that's such a steal, but like, weed out of the budget right now. Just the budget is here and it's out of the budget, so I'll have to come back. I look forward to be able to go to those type of, in fact, thrift stores seems like an insult, those type of secondhand stores. So yeah, there's a bunch of different kinds and you just find the one that works for you and keep it going. There's always opportunities to find good finds. You just kind of have to follow my 5 rules. No, I'm kidding. You have to have patience and look and keep looking, and you might surprise yourself. So yeah, go thrifting, go to charity stores in nice areas. Those places have finds as well. Where else can you find luck? The internet, eBay, Vinted. Okay, now it's getting too much. I don't want to advertise for free. Pay me with my 4 followers. Okay, bye guys. See you next time. When is next time? I'm becoming a serious human being. I've been threatening to become a serious human being as it pertains to YouTube, but this time I'm actually becoming a serious human being. Like, hold me accountable. Yeah.